Hey, what's happening, guys? So check it out. Today I'm gonna do a quick deal breakdown for you guys. This is a deal that I initially put under contract and I started to wholesale it. I put it out in front of a bunch of investors. And then once I started doing the numbers, I was like, geez, I really think that the numbers are pretty big on this one. And I think I want to keep this property for myself. And that's the amazing thing about being in wholesaling or being a wholesaler that I think a lot of people don't really realize. So every morning between 8:30 and 11 a.m. Pacific time, I talk to new investors, and I do 30-minute increments. If that's something that you want to do, it's the first link in the description below. Book a time on my calendar. You and I can hang out, have some conversations. But the reason I'm telling you that is because when I get on those calls, a lot of guys will say, hey, Johnny, I want to buy and hold properties and I want to build my portfolio, but I don't really have any money. And the thing is that first thing, just about everybody wants to do that, right? Everybody wants to have two things. One, have money in the bank, and then two, have a portfolio that's generating cash flow for us, right? Like we all want that as investors. That's why, generally speaking, we get into this business. And so the thing is that there's kind of a little bit of a misconception around the word wholesaling, and I straighten this out with a lot of people almost every single morning, because they think that wholesaling is just the act of putting a property under contract and then selling it to an investor. Now, by definition, that is exactly what wholesaling is. But here's the thing about being a wholesaler. What you are, if you are a wholesaler, is you're a professional deal finder. And there's nothing in that rule book that tells you that you have to sell that property to another investor. If you find a property that fits your buy box or your criteria, you just keep it yourself. You just cherry pick the good ones that you want, that fit within what you want to do. Because remember, even if, let's say, every single deal that you got was an amazing deal, it's not likely that you're going to have enough time to do all of the things. Like you can't flip like a million properties. It's like hard to do. It's like a time commitment, especially if you're like really, really new. So that's what's awesome about being in the wholesale game, is that it will allow you to make money if you're wholesaling deals, but it will also allow you to cherry pick the really good deals. And that's exactly what I'm doing on this property. So here's the thing. I've got a bunch of videos where I show like my max allowable offer. It's a calculator. You can punch in numbers. And I always say in those videos that calculator is just for like an initial offer. It's just the very beginning of, here's kind of where I would be, like a quick calculation, right? And it's somewhat accurate, but there are things that are not calculated in there. Things like if you were going to flip the property, like how much should you allocate for, like a dumpster, right? Because there's costs associated with removing junk and trash from a property. So you would really want to make sure that if you were flipping the property, that you're doing a detailed analysis on the costs so you don't lose money, right? What's rule number one? We don't lose money in this game, okay? And we don't want to break that rule, okay? So when I'm looking at a project and I'm doing it in a more in more detail, there's a different program that I use. It's called DealCheck. It's like the second or third link in the description. It's my affiliate link. Feel free to use it. You don't have to. I think I get like a whopping like $6 if you decide to use it. Use my link. You get 14 free days. So if you did use it, you basically buy me a coffee. That would be awesome. If you don't, it's not really a big deal. But this is the tool that I use when I'm doing a more detailed analysis on a breakdown for a flip or for a burr, or even sometimes if I want to go in and I just want to see what it's going to look like as a long-term hold. I like this calculator because it's really easy to use, and it like line itemizes all of those things. And what's really stinking awesome about it is, like, for this project, so I brought in private money on this deal to fund it. And so how do you communicate with a private money lender that, hey, I want to borrow, $230,000? Well, I'm not going to send you like a spreadsheet with like 6, fields on it. That would be like not very professional. Probably wouldn't instill a ton of confidence borrowing that kind of money. And so what I did was I used a DealCheck. I put all of the information in there, was able to plug in a bunch of comps so the investor could look at all the numbers and feel really comfortable lending me the money in order to do the flip. And so that's what I love about DealCheck. It's super professional, and I love the reports and the reporting. So if you're wanting to raise money for a flip, there is significant value in presenting the project in a nice, clean, neat package that outlines all the numbers. And I'll get into it and I'll check it out. So a couple things before I go. If you feel like I'm providing any value, I would love a like, a subscribe. That would be awesome. Again, if you want to meet with me, I meet with investors every single morning between 8:30 and 11 a.m. New guys, help them get the wheels off the ground. First link in the description below is going to get you to my my calendar. You can go ahead and grab a time on there. It's only 30 minutes. The only thing I ask is if you book a time with me, please don't flake. It's nothing worse than getting stood up by somebody who doesn't show up for a meeting. So feel free to do that. I would love to chat with you, connect, answer questions that you have about this business, and see how we can potentially work together. So that's it. I'm going to dive in. God bless. Let's do it. All right, guys, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you kind of the down and dirty on how I do the breakdown using this software. I'm not going to go into like all the details because we'd be here forever. And I know that you won't stick around forever because I can see the analytics that you guys only watch my videos for 12 to 14 minutes, which is actually surprising long time because when I'm looking at YouTube videos, if it's more than like 2 or 3 minutes, no chance I'm watching it. But anyways, that's just me. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown how I use this software. You'll notice on the left-hand side here, it says rentals, BRRRRs, flips, wholesales, because you can do all kinds of different calculations using this software. But I'm going to give you a breakdown of how I ran the numbers on this flip. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a property. It's going to import the data for me. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to select the address. It's going to auto-populate all the details around the property. You see the DealCheck's estimate. It gives me, you know, the amount of bedrooms, square footage, all that good stuff. Excuse me. Rentcast's estimate, what that number or estimate, what that looks like. None of this stuff is going to be really super accurate. Tax amount's probably going to be accurate. The insurance is probably going to be close to it. Nah, maybe not. So we got to go and we got to punch in all the numbers and make sure that they're all accurate. But it does populate all of the actual property stuff itself. So and it gives you photos and all that fun stuff, which is nice because that populates the report, which I'll show you in a couple minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click save, and then we kind of get into all the fun stuff. Now this could look a little bit intimidating, but all you really need to do is start on the left-hand side and then work your way down. So we've already done the property description that was imported when we entered the address. But if I go to purchase worksheet, I can start entering information about the actual purchase of the property. Okay. So we've got my purchase price. This is what I'm buying it for. Let's say this is the right number, right? 240,000. The ARV, I'm going to enter what that number is. 650,000. Use financing. Okay, so you'll notice it has loan label, and the reason it's got loan label is because I can add several different loans here. Why do I want to add several loans, or why would somebody? Because whenever you're doing a flip, a lot of times people will use two different types of financing. They'll use the hard money, which is just going to a bank. Bank's going to give you the money, but they'll only give you a portion of the money. So you've got like this other money that you need in order to finish the project, and usually that's going to be private money, and private money also wants to get paid. So a lot of times you'll have two different loans out on the same property, and you want to label those, right? So you might go here and say hard money, and I'm going to finance just the purchase of this property. Hard money, or the bank, wants 20% down. The interest rate's 10%. That's interest only, which is totally normal, meaning we're only paying interest if we borrow $100,000 and we have this loan for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, I'm going to owe $100,000. Probably going to owe more than that, actually. Loan term, you can leave that blank because it's interest only, doesn't matter. And then right here is where I would add a loan. This is where I would add, I might go here and say private money, and I'm going to finance the rehab costs here. And maybe I don't need any down payments because I'm just financing all of it, but maybe I'm paying 12% interest only to this person. Okay, and I can go ahead and I can leave that, or I can remove it. Purchase costs, it's asking me these purchase costs. These are things like third-party closing costs. Actually, I'm going to itemize it. I can click itemize, and it will help me break down the actual cost of the property. So if I want to do an inspection, put $1,000 there, an appraisal, $650. Do I need to pay any loan points? Maybe I'm going to do 2% of loan one. Any lender fees? A lot of times with hard money, it's $1,500 flat for lender fees in addition to points. Title and escrow fees, might do $3,500 there. Transfer taxes, attorney fees, wholesaler fees, and this is really awesome that this is here because I actually had one of my students bring me this deal. We started working it together, and I want to buy it. So now what happens? He brings me a deal, and I want to be the buyer, so I still need to pay him, and so I need to add his fee here, $10,000. So he'll get paid when I close, not when I finish the project, when I close escrow and I buy it. And then I can go back and I can continue down, adding other information in here. Purchase costs, rehab costs. So the rehab on this is $175,000. cost overrun. This is basically by percentage. It's basically, let's say I've got a bid for 175,000, but once the contractor gets in there, you find something that maybe we didn't plan for, right? So I want to make sure that I have a bucket specifically for that, because I don't want to go backwards. Look, if we don't need that bucket, awesome, I made more money. But if we do need it, I don't want to lose money on the deal, right? So we have a 10% cost overrun. We want to put our holding period. This is the amount of time that it's going to take to actually flip the property. I'm going to do 6 months there. Selling costs. So when we sell this property, I'm going to itemize this. Remember, when we sell this on the open market, we're going to fix it up and get it all ready to go. We're going to put it on the market, but there is going to be a cost associated with selling the property. There's going to be agents' commissions, buyer side. I've got to pay the listing agent. I've got to pay the buyer side agents. Maybe I'm going to include a home warranty. Maybe I'm not. There's going to be taxes. There's going to be fees that I'm going to be responsible for depending on how it's negotiated. And this will allow me to line itemize all of this stuff to make sure that I'm not losing money when I sell this property. So this auto saves. So I'm going to go here and then I'm just going to go to property analysis, and it's going to give me a breakdown. It's going to tell me cash needed, 64,000, total profit, 135,000, ROI, all this good stuff. I'm not going to read all this crap to you because you can see it, okay? And also this isn't 100% accurate because I didn't spend a bunch of time doing it because it'd be a total waste of time. I want you to see what's going on. And one of the things that you want to take a look at, especially around this holding costs, are going to be things like utilities, dumpster rental, landscaping, accounting and legal fees, if I need permits, those types of things. Like I want to put some numbers in here because I don't want to be, I'll give you an example. If I need, let's say 2 dumpsters a month at $400 each, that's $800 a month for 6 months. So then we've got the sale and the profit, right? So, when we sell the property for $650,000, we've got our selling costs that we calculated, okay? And look, you can open it, it'll break that down even more for you. Sale proceeds, total profit, it gives you all these things. And then what you can do is you can actually put some purchase criteria. See that down there? Total cash needed greater than 50,000, passes the 70% rule. Total profit greater than 20,000. I can just outline what I want my purchase criteria to be in my settings, and then when I run the numbers, this is just a quick check. Like it doesn't pass the rules. This is not a deal for me. This is not where I want to be. So that's pretty stinking awesome. But remember, I told you with this property, what I did was I went out and I reached out to my private money lender and I said, look, I got this project I want to do. Are you open to funding it? And I didn't just send them like an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of numbers on it, right? That would be like totally lame, super unprofessional. What I did was I sent him the report, right? So I can go ahead and I can create a report. It's going to download real quick. Open this out, bring it over here so you can see it. And you'll notice that it puts together like a pretty baller report. Check this thing out, right? You send this to a PML and they're like stoked. Like this guy's doing, he's doing his thing over there. He knows what time it is. Purchase price, ARV, ROI, total profit. It's got my logo in there. It's got a picture of the property. It's got a property description. Purchase and rehab analysis, all the fun stuff, holding costs. So it just breaks down all the things. One of the things that I didn't talk about in here, and actually, let me back up a little bit. So you'll notice this is going to be the profit projection portion. So down here, it gives us our total profit per, I don't want to do that, total profit per unit. I want to do this total profit number, okay? Let's see if I can't highlight it. It's going to give us our total profit. And you'll notice that this number is going down. 150, 146, 142. And the reason it's going down is because this is based on a holding period of the first column is 2 months, then 3 months. And as we have more and more columns, basically just means we're holding the property longer. Our profit is going down because we're eating into all of that holding cost is starting to add up. So our profits go down as we have to hold the project for longer and longer and longer. But this would be our projected number, this 135, okay? Which isn't accurate because the numbers on here are not accurate. I just want you to see how the software works because it's awesome. The other thing I didn't talk to you about is these comparables. So I can go here and I can do sales comps and ARV, and I can put some different properties in there. It's going to automatically pull other properties in the area that are potential comps, and it's going to check them, and it's going to say like, this property here is a potential comp, sold for 210. This property is a potential comp, sold for 380. This property here is a potential comp, sold for 339. You might be saying like, I don't see any 650s on there. That would be a really great point. The problem is that none of these properties are updated. So a bunch of people bought these to flip, and these are the numbers. And some of these are not really comps anyways. They don't count. Like this software thinks that the property I'm looking at is a duplex when it's really a triplex. So it's up to me to really do my due diligence and make sure the properties that are in here are accurate. So when I'm calculating that ARV, it makes sense. I'm not just pulling a number out of nowhere. Now that 650 actually came from an appraisal, okay? So I know that that's what the property's worth, and there's comps in there, and I can take the comps from that appraisal and I can plug them in here. My point is like, how awesome is that when you can show that to an investor and say, check out these appraisals, like, or check out these other properties that are on this appraisal. Like, this deal is solid. Lend me money so I can do it, and let's both make some money together. So that is the software. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or I left anything out, or if you want to correct anything I said, you can leave that information, or leave comments and down below. Let me know what you thought of this. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate all the support. Love you guys. Have a blessed week. Talk soon.